Hello, fourth graders. Sorry you couldn't attend the live lesson. This is the Pear Deck we use in the live lesson. The title of this lesson is Narrative Writing. Our objectives or goals of this lesson are to review the features of narrative writing, be able to describe what narrative writing is, what are the compositions of narrative writing. You're going to show me that you can analyze a prompt to determine the type of writing by using clues, what words or phrases tell you what type of writing. And then you're going to demonstrate a little bit of the writing process. When you read a prompt, how do you know what your next step is? How do you know what the step is after that? Think about this question. What is narrative writing? When I think of the word narrative, I think of a person's story, their narrative, their backgrounds. You should have came up with something like this. Narrative writing could be a letter, a story, a fairy tale, a journal entry. Narrative writing includes characters, plot, problem solution, or a goal in the story, something to achieve, a beginning, middle, end. Narrative writing includes thoughts, feelings, and actions of characters. Narrative writing is not informative writing or nonfiction writing, which is intended to inform or teach about something, very factual. Narrative writing is not opinion writing, in which you provide an opinion and support it with reasons and evidence. That's not a story. Narrative writing is not a book report about a story. Think about the purpose of a book report. It's a summary of a book you read. It's to inform. We are going to read this prompt and think about what are you supposed to write after reading the prompt. Choose one of the characters you have read about in these stories. Bellerophon, the Chimera, Anna, or the Frog. Write a narrative story in which you retell an event from the point of view of one of these characters. Be sure to use complete sentences and follow the conventions of standard English. What are you supposed to write? What does it tell you to write? Think for a moment. You should have thought or come up with something similar to, it tells me to write a story from first-person perspective as one of the four characters, Bellerophon, the Chimera, Anna, or the Frog. And the story should be your version of one event, your version being one of the characters' versions. Think about if there's a conflict or something that happens between two people, one person has their version of the story, the other person involved has their version of the story. So you have to really think about who your character is, what they would have thought, felt, and why they acted the way they acted to write a story from their perspective. What clue tells you to write a story written from first person? So the prompt is written up at top. Did clue number 1 tell you to write a story in first person? Choose from one of the characters you have read about. That doesn't tell me to write a story. Clue number 2, does that tell you to write a story in first person? Write a narrative story in which you retell an event from the point of view of one of these characters. Or was it clue 3? Be sure to use complete sentences and follow the conventions of standard English. The clue or the words in the prompt telling you to write that story in first person were from clue number 2. Write a narrative story in which you retell an event from the point of view of one of these characters. Now, when you look at the 3 stories, what information are you looking for that's going to help you write a response to this prompt? You should look for things like the thoughts and feelings of the character you selected to write about, and only the thoughts and feelings of your character that are related to that event that you're going to use in your story. You should also look for dialogue related to the event that you chose to use in your story, and look for words showing the trait of the character that you're writing from that point of view so that you know to stay in character. After analyzing the prompt and reading the stories, what should you do next? What's the next step in the process? Is it A, select a graphic organizer and begin organizing my beginning, middle, and ends? Is it B, start writing my story? Or is it C, start copying words from the story on my final draft? What would you do next after annotating